Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is part 6 video on .NET 7 Web API and Vue.js CRUD sample. Previously we implemented create operation, right? So in this video our goal is to implement the update operation. That means we are going to create the update endpoint and we are going to create the update form in our Vue.js application. So coming to creating the update endpoint, here we have to create two endpoints. Why two endpoints? First endpoint is a get endpoint, second is a update endpoint. Why get endpoint means we have to fetch the data that we want to update, right? So whenever we click the update form or open the update form, some data must be displayed, right? So to populate that form, we will create a new get by ID endpoint. Okay. So we need two endpoints for update operation. One is get by ID, another thing is normal update endpoint. Okay, first let's create both the endpoints now. Okay, so now first let's create the get endpoint. So public link task action result and get. Now this get endpoint should have a input parameter like ID because I want to filter the particular record that we want to update using the ID value. Okay, so I can use ID here. So it is a get, right? We have to decorate with the HTTP get. Since we have more than one request type of action method, right? Previously we have only one get action method, but we have now two get action methods. API cannot deliver the get request because here there is a ambiguity. Which get point user try to invoke, right? So for that, whenever we have more than one endpoint that represent a particular HTTP verb, then we have to specify the route attribute explicitly. So here I will specify the route. Okay. In this route, I simply specify the ID as a value in the route. So for that, I can give ID. Okay. And this ID in the route must be always the integer. For that, I can add validation like integer. Okay. So this is my route. Now I have to fetch from my DB, right? So what I can do, so where beach by ID, my old DB context beach dot. Here I can use where condition. So where is a link queue method helps us to filter the data. Okay, I am trying to filter the data by ID value. So I want to get only one record with that ID, right? So I can use first or default SC. So if I get result, I can simply return it in the OK response. Okay, that's it. That is my get by ID endpoint. So let's check our uh, Swagger page. See, here we can see second endpoint that represent get endpoint, that is get by ID. Okay. So and now we have to create our update endpoint as well. Okay. So let's create update endpoint. Okay. So update means put. That means our action method should be invoked for only HTTP put requests. So let's create a new action method. So I will name it like put with convention. Okay. And it should be decorated with the HTTP put. Since we have only one HTTP put action method, right? So I am not defining any route attribute explicitly. So here for updating, what I can do means db context dot which dot update similarly, just like add for creating, we have a method like update. Okay, to this method, we have to pass our update payload. So that means our action method should contain the payload, right? So beach and update to update. So only difference here payload with the post and put is the ID value must be mandatory. Okay, for creating we no need to require ID because ID will be newly generated. For updating, ID is mandatory because based on that ID only the update query will be generated by the context. Okay, so while updating, make sure your payload should contain the ID value. So to this method, I can simply pass my payload. So update method also changes the state of the context. So whenever the state is changed, and if you want to save the changed state into our database, whether it is a insert or update, we have to immediately call the save changes async method. Right? It should be awaited. And finally, I can simply return OK with updated data. Okay, these are our two endpoints. Let's check in Swagger our update endpoint. See, the put endpoint also we have created. Now let's go to our VueJS application. Now let's create a new component to display the update form. Okay. So here in the beaches folder, let me add one more component like edit beach.view. Here update form and add form are mostly similar. Okay. So what I will do, I will simply copy the content from the my add beach component. Okay. To save some time. Okay. So here I can change the heading like update item. Okay, and I can change the button to update. Okay, here we have to enable the model binding anyway. So what I can do, scripts setup. Okay, and let me copy this react to variable for model binding. Okay, but it is like update, right? So change the beach to update. Okay, and change it in here as well. Okay, just I'm changing the names. Okay, we have react to variable and it should contain the react to variable must be imported. Okay, so first thing is we have to populate our data, right? That means we have to invoke our get by id endpoint and we must populate the data into our form. So I have to invoke the get by id API call whenever this component or this page is rendered. That means I have to use on mounted. Okay, this is the life cycle method of our VueJS application. Okay, so inside of this I can call Axios. So here this is a get method, right? Get by id. Where is the this one? This is the get by id value, but id must be dynamically passed. Okay, so what I can do, let me give this URL, but here it won't be a simple URL. Our ID also should be passed here, right? So how we can get ID? ID we can read from the route. We haven't configured route for this component, right? So let's configure the route first. So here, copy this and name it like edit beach, and I will give like edit with, along with edit I will have id value as a dynamic value in the route. So that means I can specify colon id. This means it is a dynamic placeholder here. ID is a dynamic value. Okay. Here there is no colon. That means that is static string. But here colon ID means here there will be a dynamic value. Okay. So and also on import the edit beach. Okay. So edit beach and map that edit beach here for the route. So from this we can understand our ID will be available in the URL. How it will be framed, how the ID will be populated for the edit link, we can understand in upcoming steps. But from this, what we can understand, ID will available in the route. So here I have to read the ID value from the route, right? To read the ID value from the route, let me create a variable, right? Route equal to use route. See, previously in add beach we have used use router for navigating. Here it is not use router, it is use route. So this will help to read the dynamic route values from the URL. Okay. So now this will provide route value like route dot params dot the placeholder name in the route we configured. What is the placeholder name? ID. Like this, if you access, it will give the what is the dynamic value in the URL in the ID placeholder. It will be used here. So this ID value I must find it here. So for that, what I can do, instead of double quotes, I can use backticks to generate the URL dynamically, and dollar and open flower brackets and pass this route. So here I am generating the URL dynamically with the ID as a input to it. Okay. So on success. So this response nothing but my single beach record will come, right? That must be added here. That data must be assigned to my beach to update variable. So here what I can do, so update dot beach name equal to response dot data dot beach name. Okay, my record. So if you have any doubt, let me show here. If I pass one of the ID value, I must get record. See, this response data, I am trying to bind it to the beach update variable. Okay. Same way I can update all the data. So response dot data dot image URL beach update dot place response dot data dot place. So here we are going to use this beach to update as a payload to our update endpoint. We haven't implemented, we will implement it. Means, and I have mentioned for updating the record ID value must exit. So that means I have to add the ID property as well. Initially, let me assign it to 0. But from the API response, we will get ID value also, right? Or I can use directly this parameter also, route param.id. Anything is fine. Okay. So beach update dot id. Here I am going to take data dot id. Okay, now we are done with populating the form. Let's see whether we are getting the form with the data or not. So let's add the edit button in our beach list for each item so that we can see our edit form. Okay. So here, just like add, I can add router link. Okay. But for each item, edit button will be available. So here it will be edit. So here I have to generate the dynamic value, right? So I can give colon. So if it is a normal static string, directly you can assign any dynamic string. If you want to pass to the attribute, you have to specify the colon or v-. Okay. So here you can give backticks and slash edit slash dollar item dot id. So whenever this router link renders, it will render as an anchor tag with edit slash id value. Okay, let's check it. See here we got id edit button. So if I inspect element, if you see here edit slash 10, right? And if you inspect the first one, edit slash 1 means our route is dynamically generating. So if I click on this edit button, edit form not loading, something happening. Each name. This variable name we changed, right? In HTML, I forgot to change. Okay. Now let's check again and open the network calls to see the edit. Okay. Click on edit and here is my get by ID call. And here is the response. And the data is binded to our form. Okay. Now we are done with our populating the edit form. Now we have to work on the update button. So on clicking update, we have to add bits. So this is the add bits component we have copied HTML, right? So this is not the method we have here. Okay, so let me create a new method for update. So update bits. So this is my method. Okay, arrow function I am going to use. I can use Axios dot. So this is put, right? We have put method, so we can use it. So same, just like our add, I can use same URL, comma, payload is my beach to update variable. Okay, once I got response, I just want navigate back to my home page. So to navigate from for home page, we can use router, use router. Okay, use router. So don't confuse. Use route is to read the data from the route. Use router is for navigation. So router dot push and specify the home page. Okay. That's it. Let's test again. So click on edit button. Let me change the data something. Okay. If I click on update, okay, this method must be passed here. Now check again. So let's check again. Let's update the data and click on the update. See, data is updated successfully. That means we are successfully done with the update operation as well. Next, we are going to do our final operation, that is delete operation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful content to you all. If you like the video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel as well as by liking the video. Soon we are going to meet with new content. Until then, signing off.